What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Off the Woodwork, your soccer betting podcast on Face Off Sports Network. We are here with you on Monday, 9/16, and we are going to break down the Champions League Match Day 1. Brand new format for you guys. We'll get into it, but there are no more groups. Top 36 teams, 18 games during the week. We have games on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, so a nice spread out format. More games for us to look at. More money for UEFA. Happy to break it all down for you. So Pavlos, Kenny, myself, back with you guys. I believe it's our third show. Crushed week 1. Week 2, 6 and 7. Haven't been able to calculate the units, but we have to give Kenny a little bit of grief here because he threw 4 corner bets at us for week 2. Lost all 4 of them. Not here to promote that, but Kenny, we told you we'd give you shit if the bets didn't come through, and I'll allow you to speak yourself here.
You know, guys, for what it's worth, I picked the wrong time to look into the corner bets. Obviously, you know, I've still I don't want to say I'm new to them, but I've only been doing it for 11 months. I've still somehow teetering right above 60%, as crazy as that sounds. However, that being said, I am going to be leaving corner bets alone for a while until I see something that can get me back up on my feet because, well, I don't want to go 0 from my last 5. So
no, it's all good, dude. Just giving you some shit. Just reminding everybody it's a long season. You know, we threw some bets in there in week 2 that we probably wouldn't throw in, you know, month 2 or month 3. So it happens, dude. You know, we like I said, didn't have the best week, but we are ready to bounce back. Like we said, new format, so this is going to be new for all of us. It's not groups. It's not home and away for these teams. Every team is playing random sides from different pots. So I don't know how much you guys want to get into the draw or the structure, but basically, I think they're calling it like league play, and the top 8 teams will advance. The bottom 8 or so teams will be eliminated, and then the rest of them fight for kind of the knockout round seeding. So, you know, finishing with the most points possible, obviously, is going to be everybody's goal, but you are taking away home field advantage for some of these squads, right? You know, I'll take a look at, you know, Bologna is playing Shakhtar, right? Maybe Shakhtar is a bad example because they're not actually playing in Ukraine, but just the point I'm trying to make is if those 2 teams were in a group together, each team would get a home leg against that opponent. You're kind of taking away a little bit of that aspect, luck of the draw here based on, you know, a random draw, which teams play home, which teams play away. So to me, it's going to make the games, every single game, a lot more important. And I think it's going to give us a little bit of an edge as we look at these lines going into match week 1.
as much as it pains me to say this, because I'm a guy that loves no fun, I like the ball being kicked across the field. 60 minutes in, no goals, 0 shots on target. Because we're taking away the aspect where a team is guaranteed a shot against their opponent on their home field.
Right.
There's going to be less of a playing for a point, playing to defend your lead. Like there's going to be a lot less of that. I think it's going to be a lot more open games, a lot more overs. I mean, I showed you what I have for today. This is probably the most overs I've had in quite some time, and it's kind of unavoidable too, especially, you know, with some of these games you're seeing 2.5 lines. I mean, obviously there's some 3.5s out there, but the goal total is at 2.5. I think these books are going to learn by next week there's not going to be an awful lot of 2.5s hanging around next week.
Yeah, Pablo, so I want to hear your thoughts, man. What do you make of it? Because, you know, we're barely a month into the season for these clubs. Already with midweek games, like we mentioned, kind of spread out Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. They're also coming off of an international break, right? So the last weekend and last week, teams were off. They came back in this past weekend. Saw a lot of rust from favorites across every league. You know, some of them were able to squeak out wins. Some got easy wins, but wasn't, you know, it's early in the year, man. Do you think it's just obviously there's more teams this year. There's more games. There's more potential revenue. But do you think this is just way too early to get a read, or do you think we're going to be able to pick apart some spots here and take advantage of these lines.
I think it's a shit show because this is exactly as you said, a week that had an international break. Then teams played on the weekend. They're gonna play Champions League. Then they're gonna play weekend matches again. Then Champions League, and then there's another international break. Then there's another league match right after that. Then there's Champions League. I'm not sure if I like this format. I actually don't like this format. I remember, how sad I was when they took the away goals rule. Now they take away the traditional group stage where you knew that it was very opportunistically. Teams played very opportunistically in the sense that you could see several upsets from teams that needed just the point. From away matches, knowing that right after they got to play their final match against a team that has already been eliminated and they won't care that much. So it takes away some of that magic. But I seriously hope there is new magic to be found in this. I don't know, weird-looking competition, but it's still international matches. Some of the logic is still there. I think we need to evaluate this on a week-to-week basis, depending on what's going to happen, because there's more games for players, extra fatigue. There's going to be injuries. There's going to be travels. For example, Real Madrid, for example, just an example, they had Rodrigo and Vinicius. They traveled all the way to the other side of the world and back. So it's going to be really tough. It's not going to be one of those traditional seasons anymore. It's going to be tough. So it's going to be tricky. It's going to be hard. We're going to have to, again, evaluate it on a weekly basis based on, how they did, how many teams had players in the international breaks, how deep are the rosters. Teams like Bologna or Brest or whatever, they're going to find it tough competing in the Champions League, some of them for the first time ever, and in their domestic leagues as well. So it's going to be trappy, but we're here to break it down for you and hopefully give you guys some winners.
All we can hope to do. So let's get into it. As I mentioned, there are games spread across the week. So I guess it's 6, 6, and 6, if I'm reading this correctly, right? Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So let's try to logically go through it that way. We'll set the games up day by day. So tomorrow on Tuesday, we have Juventus at home to PSV, Young Boys at home to Aston Villa, Real Madrid at home to Stuttgart, Bayern Munich at home to Dinamo Zagreb, AC Milan at home to Liverpool, and Sporting Lisbon at home to Lille. I will kick it over to you, Pavlos. What are you looking at for tomorrow's slate?
There's some games that I passed immediately.
Also,
for example,
good call.
Yeah, Juventus PSV is the weirdest game of the slate for me, in the sense that I can't pick out a winner, I can't pick out a side, I can't pick out a total. This could easily be a match with the 1 or 2 goals. It could easily blow up to 4 and 5 goals. I don't like the spreads. I don't like the totals. I don't want to squeeze it. This is an official pass from me. I was telling Kenny right before we entered the show that I can never get PSV right. I bet them on the over or both teams to score an over, and then they lose to 0 or it's a 1-1 draw. I bet on the under, and then it's like a 2-3 win. Maybe I'm just a little biased with PSV. This match is very difficult for me to read, and the fact that Juventus are coming off goalless draws against Empoli and Roma is, not something that I want to. This is a game where I immediately looked at it, just spent some time on it. I think it's a pass for me. I don't know if Kenny has something in this match. I believe he does.
So, because of what Pablo said, because of Pablo's what he said, I'm kind of under the same logic. But with that being said, you look at the goalless draws that Juventus is coming off of. Just look at their last 9 games. I'm not including Coppa Italia in this. They only have 1 game that's gone over 3.5 goals. That game happened to be a game against Bologna where there was a goal in the 2nd minute of the game. It took, everyone knows in the sport when there's a goal in the first 2 minutes of the game, the team that goes down immediately has to start defending. Everything that you set up before the game goes out the window, and normally it's off to the races for both teams in terms of goals, and you get paid out on the over 2.5 in the first 20 minutes. But as I said, that's the only game in the past 9 games that has gone over 3.5 goals. I'm taking under 3.5 goals in that game, alternative line with PSG money line against Girona. That's plus 101. I think there's a really good chance PSG absolutely roll Girona. I don't like what I've seen from them so far. They look completely different from last season. They sold their striker. I think this competition is going to affect them a lot, like what Pavlos was saying, with some of these teams that don't have the squad depth to be playing. You know, you go from the normal, you're playing 4 games, now you're playing 8. You've still got your domestic league to focus on. We could see something very similar to, I don't want to say as drastic as Union Berlin, where they had their first campaign last season and almost got relegated, but I could very well see Girona struggling to figure out, do we want to prioritize Champions League? Do we want to prioritize not getting relegated? Regardless, I like what I've seen from PSG so far. I think they roll Girona, and then adding under 3.5 with Juventus, PSV, plus 101. That's what I'm rolling with.
Yeah, dude. Listen, I like it. I don't. Pavlos mentioned it, right? Tale of two Juves, right? They started off the year hot. Granted, they played 2 relegation teams, right? So they played 2 teams that came up from second division. They scored 2-3 goals each of those games. It looked like they were rolling, and they start to face some real competition. And they had trouble finding the back of the net. A lot of new players, new coach, new formation. So definitely, you understand that these things take time. But I'm wondering here, man, is PSV just not getting the respect they deserve? Like they're almost at +1. They're, plus 0.75 is like minus 130. If they get to +1, I'd honestly consider taking PSV on the spread, but I don't know if they're going to get there. I'm wondering if you could put together.
Looks like it's moving to PSV. Yeah.
I know. I'm trying to see if I could put together a quick same game parlay here for.
You're using the correct logic. The problem with that is other people are realizing that you're using the correct logic, and it is moving in favor of PSV because, I can't even make an argument for, at this point, who is backing Juventus to win a game by more than 1 goal against real competition when they can't even do it against fucking Empoli.
Yeah. I'm trying to think, like if you could take,
they weren't home.
But you take your under 3.5 and you do a same game parlay with PSV on the spread, right? Like maybe PSV plus 1.5. If you can get that around like a minus 130, I'd kind of be all over it. I think they keep it close. Juve is at home, right? They're a tough team at home. I don't think they'll know they need to get points out of this game. I just don't think they're gonna pour 2 or 3 goals into this one. So. Kenny, I think I'm with you, dude. Let's stay on the safe side here. Let's stick with that under. If the PSV number gets there, maybe worth a look, but I don't see too many goals in this one. Definitely 3 or less.
I was just gonna add really quick, the under 2.75. I was teetering with that as a single bet, but because 3.5 is there with PSG money line at plus money, there's really no reason to complicate it at under 3. I get the extra half goal protection, but as I said, like a game can be dictated if there's a goal in the first 5 minutes versus if there's a goal in the 60th minute. Like if there's a goal in the 5th minute, we're going to be sweating the whole game just for under 3.5. Where if we get to halftime, even 1-0, we're looking good. A team ties up in the 75th minute and we're rolling into the last 15 minutes. But I'm going to leave it under 2.75 alone.
Yeah.
If under 3 was playable, if it was the same price as under 2.75, I'm all over it. Under 1.25 even was very appealing, but there's no reason to play a minus 140 when, I'm not looking to get half a cash if there's a fluky goal in the 40th minute at minus 140 odds.
I think that's fair. Let's move on to the next one. I know we were talking about it pre-match. Young Boys at home to Aston Villa. Young Boys plus 390. Villa minus 155. This one seems like there will be goals. What do you see?
Both teams to score over 2.5 goals. Easy one. Move on to the next. No need to talk about this match. No, I'm just kidding. But really, Young Boys, they started the season winless in like 6 matches, and they conceded 2+ goals in all 6 matches. Then there was a cup match, but take that with a grain of salt, where they blasted the original team by 10-0. Then they beat Galatasaray 3-2 at home in the first leg of the qualifiers, and then they beat them again in Turkey by 1-0. I knew a lot of people who went hard on the over in that second leg, but it was just a really disappointing match. Had an early disallowed goal, which, early disallowed goals are over killers if you have the over. And I keep saying this: if you bet on the over and there is a disallowed goal, especially early, your over is dead, most likely, because teams teams that they just considered, they're playing much more carefully. The teams that had their goal disallowed, they get frustrated, and that's another occasion where that happened. Although, to be honest, that match wasn't for a 1-0 win for Young Boys. It should have had at least one more goal. But again, it's Turkish teams. So again, take that result with a grain of salt. So Young Boys, I think that was their only clean sheet. The 10-0 win against the regional side, and the 1-0 fluky win at Turkey. So broken defense, they can easily get exposed by Aston Villa. Aston Villa, I think they haven't kept a single clean sheet so far in the EPL. And it's not like they had, any tough opposition. Only their match against Arsenal was a tough one. They beat West Ham 2-1, no clean sheet. They beat Leicester 2-1, no clean sheet. And they had to come back from 2 goals behind to beat Everton by 3-2 over the weekend. So this match screams both teams to score in over 2.5 goals. -113 at Pinnacle. I don't think it gets any better than that. I think we'll get it for a show pick. And I think Kenny agrees with that.
Absolutely. I will.
Let me start with, I have a fucking bone to pick with Young Boys. So you get a result against Galatasaray 2 times, and then you draw at home with, what is it, Lausanne?
Yeah.
Then they play against a team. Okay.
And they were lucky on that draw as well.
FC
They should have lost.
FC Vevey United. Okay, just to put this into perspective, this team isn't even searchable on FOTMob. If you use FOTMob to look up teams to see rosters, they're not even searchable. Yeah, I mean, the team leaks goals. And now, the only reason I didn't have this as an original bet for the show, so obviously we're adapting into a new year. We're starting off a new year. So the numbers for last season, I just want to talk about this really quick. Last season, Aston Villa at home, 48 goals, 28 allowed. That's a +20 differential. Away from home, 28 goals scored, 33 allowed. That's good for a -5. That's, again, as I've talked about before, teams with night and day goal differentials. But with that being said, Villa has shown so far this year that they are making strides to improve their away form. And even, sometimes you just look at a game and you just pass over it because the team gives you the ick. Like, Young Boys have definitely given me the ick so far. They are winless in their first 6 games in the Swiss Super League. But I think they get goals at home. They were always good for goals at home. They've been leaking goals. Villa, same, especially to start the year. Both teams to score over 2.5. This is an official play for me as well.
Yep. Love it. Nothing to add. I think we're spot on, other than Pavlos, what you said, disallowed goals. The only thing I'll add to that, missed penalty kicks. How many missed penalty kicks have we seen so far this year? I feel like I don't have a stat or anything to back it up. Maybe it's just games I fucking bet on. Every fucking team is missing their penalty kicks this year. Or is it just me?
No, they are. If you've seen like matches from Argentina, Emiliano Martinez, their goalkeeper who also plays for Aston Villa, teams are doing their due diligence, and they even have on his drinking bottle, they have a list of all the penalty kick takers and where to dive left, dive or stay in the center, or dive right. There's a lot of research, or let's say legal spying going on between the teams, and they know. For example, I was watching a City game the other day, and Haaland was about to take a penalty kick, and they showed the graph where he's taken his last 8 penalty kicks. They were all in the same spot, and the goalkeeper fell on the other side. That was bad spying, because when you have a player like Haaland and he shoots, of course they were all in, all the penalty kicks. His last 7 or 8 penalty kicks in the same spot, go with that.
Right.
It's not going to change probably. I mean, unless you think that he's going to change now in this specific game for whatever reason. But I think that's the reason. Also, another reason for missed penalty kicks, and I've seen that so many times, people think they are Cristiano Ronaldo, and they do those silly steps. They're trying to juke the goalkeeper into falling before they, I don't know. And not everybody is a Cristiano Ronaldo, right? So I think some players are overestimating their abilities, and that's why they get cocky when they are trying to score a penalty kick, and that's why we've seen a lot of missed penalty kicks.
Overkillers.
Yeah.
Next game, Real Madrid, Stuttgart. Real's minus 340 favorite. Anything in this game, or is this a pass? Because I don't have anything in this one.
For me, it's a pass, because I still think, Real Madrid, they scored 2 goals against Real Sociedad, both penalty kicks. They scored 2 goals against Betis. One of them was a penalty kick. They scored 1 goal at Las Palmas. It was a penalty kick. Unless, Stuttgart, they have, they sold 2 of their best center backs in the off-season. They did get some players there, but their defense is not that good. So I wouldn't be surprised by another penalty kick for Real Madrid. Although now that I've seen the referee, Meller, the Turkish guy, I think he gives out a lot of cards. I let Kenny talk about this, but at best, I'd maybe take Real Madrid money line in a parlay piece. But I don't have an official play here.
That is exactly the route that I'm going for this game. So I want to talk a little bit about Stuttgart first. So not only did they sell their best striker, 30 games last season, Girassi, 30 games, 30 goals. You don't find that type of production off the streets. You don't really find that production anywhere.
Yeah.
Not only that, he went to my favorite team in Germany. So kudos to Dortmund for actually signing someone for a change instead of selling somebody. With that being said, I think the regression on Real Madrid is, I think this is a turning point where they get it right. First game Champions League, Mbappe's first game with Real Madrid in Champions League. Pablo said it. Stuttgart's defense, it's suited for the Bundesliga, where there's 4 or 5 goals a game. I don't see how Real Madrid don't roll here. I'm not saying it's going to be 4 or 5-0. I could just see a very controlled 2-0, maybe 3-0, maybe 3-1, maybe Stuttgart gets lucky on something. I really have a problem with selling your best striker that was averaging a goal game. Yes, they went out and got some players. Yes, they've got some results earlier in the year, but you beat Mainz and Gladbach. We've seen them against nobody remotely close to this, what is now arguably the best roster on the planet. I mean, Man City has a say in that debate. That's probably the only team out there that has a say in that debate when you talk about personnel. The other leg of my parlay, Bayern Munich minus 1.5. We've seen this time and time and time again. When Bayern Munich plays against a team that's on a couple tiers down, in this case Dynamo Zagreb, they have no fucking problem pulling your pants down. They will score 6 goals. They will score 8 if you let them. They've done, I'm pretty sure they scored 9 against Bochum. Pardon my language. Minus 1.5 is a parlay piece. It shouldn't be playable. I understand, there's going to be some people out there that take the plus 1.5. They still think Bayern's, yes, new coach, blah, blah, blah. Plus 1.5 is probably like plus 190, plus 180, but you're going to be losing this bet by halftime. Bayern's going to be up 2-3-0. Probably cruises to a 4-0 win. I don't see anything other than an easy Bayern win. Probably 2-0, 30 minutes into the game.
What's the pay?
Minus 110.
All right. Yeah, listen, I subscribe to what you're saying. I think Real has to turn the corner at some point. They've struggled, as Pablo said. And Champions League, dude, this is what they do. This is Ancelotti, right? This is what he fucking does. There's no way that they're not going to be prepared for this game at home. Pavlos, here we go. Real to score a penalty, plus 235. Is that worth the shot?
Yeah, get it. get it, because I looked at the referee and he's not actually that much of a card. He's a card guy, but he's also a penalty guy.
There we go.
Of course, he's Turkish, and in the Turkish league, Galatasaray and Fenerbahce, they get a lot of penalty kicks. But in last season, in 29 matches across all competitions, he gave 13 penalty kicks. And the season before that, in 28 matches, 11 penalty kicks. These are good stats.
Yeah.
For penalty kicks. And again, I think Real Madrid, they have a lot of quality up front. Yes, they're going to be tired, but Stuttgart's defense is cruising for a bruising. And I think that they, it's not too much. And the price, what was it? Plus 210?
Plus 235.
Plus 235, yeah, definitely. I mean, they also considered a penalty kick to Mainz. Not sure if they considered a penalty kick to Freiburg. No. But yeah, it's definitely worth it. A plus 235, you can't go wrong with those.
There we go.
Just to put it out there too, Stuttgart has conceded 12 big chances their first 3 games. You give Real Madrid even a third of those. I don't see how this isn't 2-0.
Yeah.
And the other note I wanted to throw in there for those that do follow the Croatian league, Zagreb did lose to their rival Hajduk Split right before this. It's hard to go into a game like this with anything positive when you lose to your rival right before. I think Bayern win this game by more than 2 goals. Even if that didn't happen, I just think that's definitely going to play a small little more.
Just to put it in odds perspective, Bayern's minus 800 at home. Zagreb is plus 1,600. So Kenny will close out his parlay with Bayern minus 1.5. Pavlos, there's not a thing I'm looking at in this game. So Let's move on to the next. AC Milan at home to Liverpool. Liverpool minus 105. Milan plus 280. Mixed bag for both of these teams. Liverpool, actually both new coaches, right? Liverpool, Arne Slot. They looked really good the first couple of games. Stumbled last week. 0 goals. 1-0 loss to Nottingham Forest. At home as well. They're traveling to Milan for this one. Milan, who really struggled through the first couple of weeks of the season, finally put together some goals. 4-0 win over Venezia yesterday or the day before, Saturday actually. So Milan is plus 280 in this one. You guys giving them a chance to get some points at home?
No convincing answers. Nobody wants to go first.
I know the more I looked at this, Pavlos, we talked about this game before the show. If I was to throw out one thing, this game to be decided by exactly 1 goal, it seems like Liverpool just prides themselves on finding themselves in stressful situations at times. I know they started off the season good, but you can't score 0 goals at home against Nottingham Forest. I know it's kind of like I was reading something that's like I don't want to call it their boogeyman team, but Nottingham Forest has had some success against them in the past. This is what Liverpool do away from home, guys. This is my problem with them. This is what stopped them from being like right up there with Manchester City. They have the same personnel. They don't get away results when they need them. You're going against Milan here. Milan hasn't same old defense. They're still allowing some goals. Yes, they beat Venezia 4-0. That's going to provide some. How do I want to put this? You can't really carry too much about a 4-0 win against a team like Venezia and then think it's going to translate to the same against Liverpool, but it is going to give them some confidence. But this game to be decided by 1 goal, I don't have the odds on it, but I could see a 2-1 here to either team. I don't have the cojones to have anything in this game.
Yeah, up until last weekend, prior to last weekend's results, I marked this down as a Liverpool money line. I said Liverpool money line at minus 110, minus 105. That's really playable. But then Liverpool lost to Nottingham Forest at home 1-0. AC Milan kept a clean sheet, scored 4 goals in the first half. Okay, it was against Venezia, but still, after the international break, at this point, I should remind one thing that's like a constant in soccer betting. Teams that are struggling, and then there is an international break for whatever reason. Either there's players that are recovering from injuries, either the coach and his staff, they're looking at tactics and they figure something out. Teams that are struggling before the international break tend to be much better after the break. And the same, and the reverse also stands in the sense that teams that are in good form prior to a break, they tend to lose some of that steam during the international break. So in this case, this was exactly what happened. AC Milan were struggling, winless in the first 3 matches of the season. Then there's the break. Yes, they had players who went on the national teams, but the coach and staff, they stayed behind and they looked at the problems and they identified some of them and they tried to resolve them. And that's why they got a big, confident win. Same goes for Liverpool. 3 wins in the first 3 matches, 3 clean sheets. And then you come back of the break, out of the break with a 1-0 loss to Nottingham. That's exactly what happens. And the international breaks, they're good, for the national teams or whatever. But it's really bad for consistency in betting. And I'm not really sure how I feel about this match anymore. I guess I still like Liverpool money line. Liverpool team total at -144. Team total over 1.5, that is, at -144. I think that's a bit chalky. I might pass on both plays. You know what? It's early in the season. I guess we say this in every week, but let's take Liverpool money line just for the sake of it. I'm not buying AC Milan's, sudden resurgence in the defense. I think Liverpool score. The question is how many and how many do they concede? Yeah, give me Liverpool money line. What is it? -105, -110. I guess it's a good price. It could be worse. If it was -120 or -130 or whatever, I'd have my objections. But at these prices, yeah, fuck it. Let's get it.
Yeah, I think the other thing I would look at here is a Liverpool win and over 1.5 plus 130. I don't think they get, obviously they need to score a goal to win the game, but they don't get blanked 2 games in a row. I'm kind of with you there. I like both teams to score. That's unplayable. I don't know that Milan gets shut out at home. Liverpool haven't really looked all that convincing on defense yet. But just, I would say be cautious. I think Liverpool do win. They're a deserved favorite. The draw at plus 265. If it was a little higher, if it was plus 278, 280, 290, I'd be interested in it. Just proceed with caution is all I'm going to say, but we will mark down Liverpool money line as the play.
What about the last one? The last match? Because I do have a play in that last match.
Hit it. Sporting Lisbon at home to Lille. Lisbon -150, Lille plus 450. I get Portuguese teams wrong 100% of the time. So Pavlos, it's your play.
I get Lille wrong all the time, but I think this is a both teams to score, and both teams to score is -127 at Pinnacle, and I think that's a fair price. Yeah, Sporting Lisbon, they have a couple of clean sheets, 3 in a row actually. One of them was against Porto in their domestic league. And Lille, if you look at, they started the season with, really, they did really good. They beat Fenerbahce, which is a really strong team now with Mourinho on the bench. They beat them 2-1 at home. They lost 1-0 on the road. To be honest, it wasn't supposed to be a loss because they really gave Fenerbahce a really run for the money. Then they started with 3 clean sheets. And then they have lost 3 in a row, including on Friday, I believe that was, a 1-0 loss to Saint Etienne. But take that result with a grain of salt. And also their last result, they lost 1-3 at home against PSG because their star player, Jonathan David, came off the bench in both matches. Of course, it made more sense for him to come off the bench in the recent match against Saint Etienne because he played also international matches with Canada. So he traveled to the other side of the world to play a couple of friendlies. So take that dip in form with a grain of salt. But I do think that they have one goal in them. Sporting Lisbon are not, the defensive juggernaut. Maybe they can score 5, which I doubt against Lille. But I think this match starts at 1-1, and then I'm not really sure if you can, maybe take, you say, if the match starts at 1-1, why not slap the plus over 2.5 goals in there? Because it could easily end 1-1. Last season, Sporting, they had a 1-1 draw against Atalanta at home, a 1-1 draw against Young Boys at home. So, I think, and Lille on the road, they can be very, very tight to break down. I think they scored in all their away matches in the competition last season. There was a 1-1 draw against Slovan Bratislava, a 2-0 win against Olimpia Ljubljana. So it's not entirely overs. Most of them are actually their away matches. They usually have 2 or 3 goals. So I think both to score is a fair way to bet on this match. Hopefully Lille don't shit the bed. Sporting not scoring is going to be a huge upset. We're essentially looking for a Lille goal here. So give me both of them to score -127. I think that's a fair price here.
Love it. Kenny, anything there? We're moving on to Wednesday.
I don't have anything for that game.
All right, Wednesday. First up, Bologna at home -115 to Shakhtar +360. Like you mentioned, Pavlo's first game in the Champions League for Bologna, probably since the Champions League started. They look terrible so far this year. This was an awesome team last year. They lost their coach. They lost a lot of players. It was like the typical make Champions League once in a lifetime and do everything wrong, right? You don't build upon it. You don't keep your core together. They're facing a Shakhtar team who, I'm going to be really honest with you guys, I don't know what kind of form they're in. I only know what kind of form Bologna is in. They are winless through 4 games. They had to have a 93rd minute goal to get a point from newly relegated Como over the weekend. Tell me why I shouldn't take Shakhtar plus 0.75 or even Shakhtar double chance in this one.
Kenny, you want to go?
I'm actually looking at Shakhtar's form right now, and I don't even know about the double chance. I'm actually looking at potentially a long shot, maybe a money line here. For those of you that follow Champions League, Shakhtar they're no strangers to pulling off upsets. I don't even know if this would be an upset. Bologna at -110 has runaway written all over it. There's, my favorite thing I love to say when you see a team away from home, we'll call it Liverpool, and they're +100, -105. That line screams trap a mile away. They're offering it there for a reason. Bologna -110 at home. They're offering that for a reason because it is a trap. Looking at this Shakhtar team, looking at the recent form, they've no problem scoring goals. They've scored 8 in their last 2 games. Yes, they gave up 4 to, I'm not even going to lie, I don't even know how to pronounce this team, FC Alexandria. The good thing that Shakhtar doesn't really have to worry about is Bologna are not a team that traditionally scores many goals. They're, as far as I know, built on a pretty good defense over the years, which is what got them there this
Lost
past
their
season.
best defender to Arsenal. Just throwing it out there.
I would not be shocked to see this game end in a draw or even Shakhtar coming out with a win here. Pablo, so leave it to you while I dive more into this.
Otherwise, we're riding with plus 0.75.
I think somebody's on drugs, and it's not us. I think it's the bookmakers. How many times have we seen Shakhtar Donetsk? Just a couple of points on Shakhtar Donetsk. Shakhtar Donetsk, they're one of the best teams, actually the best team out of Ukraine. They played in the Champions League for maybe 20, 25 years. And they've actually, as Kenny said, caused a lot of upsets. They beat Barcelona. They beat Real Madrid. And another big reason why we definitely smashed the double chance here. I think it's really disrespectful to have Bologna as -110 favorites, especially with Bologna. If it was last season's Bologna, I would maybe agree with the odds. I'd still take the double chance, but maybe I would agree with the odds. But now you're giving minus 110 on Bologna and whatever it is on Shakhtar Donetsk, I'm going to take the double chance. I think this is a steal. And, even if Bologna win, it's not going to come easy. Shakhtar Donetsk, they have the experience playing at this stage. They played so many times. They played against so many good rivals. They beat so many good rivals. And, this is an early match. This is actually one of the two, I believe, early matches in the Champions League. And this is actually the final nail in the coffin. Whenever you see Shakhtar Donetsk in the early kickoff, you just have to take them, fade whoever they're playing against, because you might think I'm crazy, but if you look at historical data, you look at whenever Shakhtar, especially when they play in the early kickoff, they almost always goes absent, especially if they're at home. Now they're not at home; they're on the road. But much like many other Ukrainian teams, they're like nomads. They've learned to play international matches away from home and not even in Ukraine. So they going away at Italy is not such a big deal for them. And final point is that Shakhtar have always been like a Brazilian settlement, like a Brazilian colony. Right now, I think they have like 6 or 7 Brazilians in their roster. Mm-hmm. So they are one of the richest and most talented teams from the Eastern Europe region. So I think it's really disrespectful to give them odds like that. And I agree with Kevin. The money line looks very, very tasty. But just double chance is really, really well put for us to get some nice value here.
Minus 110.
So double chance all the way.
All right.
Completely agree.
Love when the team is in agreement. We're riding with that. Sparta Prague at home taking on Salzburg. Your squad out of Austria, Kenny. What are you seeing in this one? Plus 185 for your team. Sparta plus 135 at home. I mean, are we just too simplistically thinking about this? Because not even knowing the odds, I'm telling you there's 3 goals in this one.
Okay. So I'm going to stop you right there.
Ooh.
I liked over 2.75 goals in this game. I still do like over 2.75 goals in this game. However, with that being said, I'm going to go back to 2 games that Sparta Prague played against Malmo. I was on over 2.75 in both games. Yeah. And I don't know how to say this without you roasting me once again. Somehow, when I placed bet on both those games, I knew they were going to be under fucking 3 goals in that game. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it's just stylistically how Sparta Prague play, Malmo play. Granted, I was not accounting for 2 missed penalty kicks, so I guess me even thinking that before the game ultimately really hexed the shit out of that bet. But long story short, there's a lot more going on in this game than meets the eye. So I looked at the first few games for Salzburg. It's a very, very doable campaign for the Champions League to have a chance at advancing. Their first 4 games are all winnable. The last 3 games, they'll be lucky to get 1 point out of. But then if you can get through the first 4, that's where you set up shop and see if you can take a point from the last few games. But with that being said, my big problem with this game is star striker Karim Konate, as far as I know, does not look like he's going to be featuring in this game.
Okay.
Midfield, Kolegard, I'm not sure how you pronounce it.
Kjærgaard.
Okay, thank you, Pavlos. He's out this season. I don't know. This is a team that just conceded 3.3 expected goals, lost 4-2 to Rapid Vienna, their rival, a team that they normally take care of business. They allowed 4 goals to them in their last game. It screams over. It does. It screams over. Sparta Prague have actually scored 2 goals or more in the last 8 games, which happens to come 1 game after I backed them against FCSB in Romania, which, why couldn't you do it in that game? But we're not going to go there. Mm-hmm. It screams 2-1 to me. 2-1 Sparta Prague. I was originally looking at Salzburg. I was also expecting Konate to be back. He's just good for a goal almost every game he plays in. No Konate, away from home against a team that's what I consider to be one of the 3 most underrated teams in Europe, along with Slavia Prague and Karabag. I don't like how this looks for my boys. I could see 2-1. Probably both teams to score over 2.5.
As far as I'm concerned, I'm passing in this game. I know goals make a lot of sense, but Salzburg are not Malmo. Salzburg are gonna score probably their penalty kicks, and that second leg against Malmo, I didn't bet on it because I was high on the first leg. I said, okay, Malmo absolutely need a win against Sparta Prague at home because the second leg in Prague is going to be really, really hard for them. And then they fizzled majestically. They conceded a couple of goals in that first leg, so it was a 2-0. My over was killed. And in the second leg, I said, fuck this. I'm not going to take the bait. I'm not going to bet the over, especially since, Sparta Prague, they don't even need to win. Even if they lose by 1 goal, they're still through. I wasn't expecting them to lose because they're always very, very strong at home, really extremely strong at home. And last season, yeah, they did lose to Liverpool 5-1, but it was Liverpool. They beat Galatasaray 4-1, and Galatasaray, they're one of the richest teams in the Turkish league. They have a lot of quality. And still do. They had a lot of quality last season, and they still do. They beat Betis 1-0. So it's a team that doesn't easily lose at home. But totals can be frustrating. And Salzburg on the road, yeah, it could be like a 5-6 goal fest. It could be a 1-1 draw. This is one of the teams where I used to love betting on. I don't know, maybe 3 seasons ago, but in the last couple of seasons, I just stopped, caring about them. I stopped reading about them. I stopped, believing in them or whatever. So this is one of the games I don't want to take much time. I passed. I don't have anything in this game. Good luck with what you have, but this looks shady as fuck to me.
I'm actually going to. You guys are going to roast me for this. I don't even care. In the last 66 home. No. Corner kicks will not be featured on the show for a little bit. So I'm going to tell you a little brief story about what I did. For those of you that know me, I am the biggest Oregon Ducks fan in the state of New York. I have bet against them less than 5 times my whole life. I've been a fan since the Joey Harrington days. For those of you who know who that is, he's been around since he was around year 2000, 2001. I bet against them less than 5 times. They shit the bed very first 2 games. They're 49.5-point favorites to Idaho, won by 10. They're 20-point favorites against Boise State, won by 3. I'm thinking, taking on their rival away from home, I take the opposite team, plus 18. They lose by over 30. My team beats the brakes off by over 30. I'm going to make a bet against my team in this game. I am going to take Sparta Prague on the Asian handicap, just to draw no bet. In the last 66 games at home, they've lost just 3. Last season in 33 games, they lost 0 games. They had the best goal differential in the promotion group, a group that featured Victoria Pilsen, Slavia Prague, the other team that's one of the most underrated in Europe. No star goal scorer for Salzburg. They're missing their midfielder. I don't see Salzburg winning this match. Give me Sparta Prague. Draw no bet, minus 127.
Good deal. Let's head on to a marquee matchup for Wednesday. We have Man City at home to Inter Milan, rematch of the final from 2 years ago. City minus 185, Inter Milan plus 475. I want to take my Italian football bias out of this, but it seems to me like Inter getting a little bit of disrespect to a Man City team really hasn't looked all that great from a defensive standpoint. Yeah, Haaland's on fire. I think he's got something like 9 goals already in the season, which is, absolutely ridiculous. We're not going to, can't do what he's doing, but I'm looking at a both teams to score line of minus 130. I think that's well within range. I don't know, man. I think part of me really wants to say Inter keeps it close, but I don't know. They score a goal. Like, I know they score a goal in this game because City's defense hasn't been great. Am I just crazy? Do we think they can cover some sort of spread? Do we think they have a shot for an upset? What do you guys see for this one?
just because Man City put 4 past Ipswich, 3 past West Ham, and 2 past Brentford, that does not tell me that this game should be a blowout. If Man City was in the minus 0.75 range, that would be like my happy area where I would want to take the 0.75 because I think they win. But needing them to win by more than 1 goal to get paid out, not for me. Not for me in this game. I think the line is disrespectful.
I don't want to get involved with sides here, but I kind of like the under 3 goals at minus 133. I know the Asian spread is at 2.75, which is maybe good for half a unit, 1 unit, but I think it's going to be a tough match in the sense that both coaches, they have defensive mindsets, and I know, or I hope, that Inter Milan have the experience, or should have had the experience, to know that you can't really go to Manchester City and play very openly. So I think this is going to be an under 3. I think worst case scenario, there's 3 goals. I'm trying to imagine a scenario where there is 4 goals. So 4-0 Manchester City. I don't think Inter Milan get that much trust. 4-0 Inter Milan, not going to happen. 3-1 Manchester City, possibly. 3-1 Inter Milan, no. A 2-2 draw, meh. I mean, I just don't see it. I just don't see 4 goals here. And if there's 4 goals, okay, we'll lose 1 unit or whatever. I think under 3 goals at minus 135 at Pinnacle. I always use Pinnacle because it has the best odds out there. So don't get stuck in DraftKings or FanDuel alone. Please search all the other books. It's a must that you have to have multiple accounts, at least 2 of them in different books, because DraftKings and FanDuel, mostly DraftKings, they know they are the big players in USA and they steal from you. I mean, the odds are so much worse than any other book. I seriously question why somebody would only have a DraftKings account. So under 3 at minus 135, I think that's really, really playable. So what I'm
going to say to anybody that's looking at the over in this game, if you like over, take it live. Wait till it drops to 2 over 1.5. Something about this game just smells like it's first 25, 30 minutes, it's going to be 0-0. And it's going to be like you're going to be looking at this game of who's going to open the scoring, how is it going to come, what's the goal line going to drop to. It feels like one of those games where it is going to start off kind of sluggish. This is going to be the first team since Chelsea, which if we really consider Chelsea a good team, this is going to be the first time that Manchester City have a team that they play that actually has a backbone. So, they're not going to be able to have their way like they did with Ipswich, or West Ham isn't a bad team, but they're no Inter Milan.
Yeah. Another thing I'll say, just to support what Pavlos is saying, the shortest odds for a goal scorer from Inter Milan, Lautaro Martinez is plus 270. Marcus Thuram is plus 320. Lautaro was the guy that led the fucking league in goals last year. He led the Copa America in goals over the summer. Thuram, I think he leads Italy in goals so far this year. So for those numbers to be so big, to me, absolutely supports an under in this one. They're thinking goals are going to be at a premium. So just trying to back you up there a little bit, Pavlos.
I mean, if there's 4 goals, it's 4 goals. But I just think, Inzaghi is not that dumb, and he always knows how to protect himself. Even if they lose, they're not going to lose spectacularly, unless they get a red card, early.
Yeah, listen, I mean, I feel like I wind up saying this every show. Like, I'm always trying to talk ourselves out of Man City. Could Man City come out and score 2 goals in the first 20 minutes? Of course they could. They have that capability every single game. Doesn't mean that it's likely. Doesn't mean that the odds are correct. So I agree with you. I think this is an under game. Next up, we have PSG at home taking on Girona. PSG, huge favorites, minus 260. Girona plus 650. They've gotten off to a really shitty start after a great campaign last year. PSG is a team that I never believe in the Champions League, but they seem to do work at home. Definitely in the early stages of the competitions. You guys have any plays for this game?
I'm just going to say a quick couple of words because I don't have a play in this game. Looks like an over. Looks like a PSG win. Maybe you can parlay. I don't have the price on that. I'm just going by logic alone. PSG to win and over 2.5 goals in the sense that they can score 3 on their own. Girona might be able to assist in the scoring. Girona, they lost badly to the two big teams, to the two good teams that they faced so far. 3-0 to Atletico Madrid on the road, 4-1 to Barcelona at home. PSG are right up there with the other two. They have the quality. They have a really strong team, despite losing Mbappe, despite losing Messi. They still have bought a lot of talent. They have a seriously good team. However, this is I don't have anything in this match. If maybe I change my mind, once I read a little bit more into it. But maybe PSG to win and over 2.5 goals, that could be something.
Kenny, anything for you?
Well, I've already had PSG money line as a parlay piece. Pablo's took the words right out of Pablo's took the words right out of my mouth. They've already lost their first 2 games to the only 2 good teams they played against. They lost 4-0 last year, Real Madrid. I know this we're talking about last year. Then they lost 3-0. I think they could get rolled here. I really do. I think like 2-0, 3-1, something along those lines. I think the money line is one of my favorite parlay pieces of the whole Champions League slate for PSG. They are humming so far. They've got 12 goals in 3 games.
Yeah, off to a good start. All right, so I agree. That's our lean on that one. We'll roll with your parlay piece. The next one, your squad, Dortmund, away, Club Bruges. Dortmund plus 105, Bruges plus 255. Kenny, I'm going to frame up a question for you because we've gone through a lot of games. I think we have 1 or 2 spots that we're looking at for an upset, but surely there have to be more. Club Bruges is a team that they've really looked pretty good over the past couple of years in European competition. They're at home in this one. Do you think this is a spot where Dortmund stumble a little bit, or do you think they're getting really good value at plus 105 away from home?
I don't care if you look at this game and see, oh, Dortmund plus 100 looks really good. I said it probably 20 minutes ago that this is plus 100 for a reason. It is a fucking trap. I have over 2.75 goals in the game. Bruges are already 7 games into their campaign. They've put up numbers 2.44, 3.39 XG in their last 2 games. The way to put it best is this isn't a tournament where, Dortmund are going to get their home leg. There's no reason to shut up shop and just play for that 0-0. There's going to be every reason to come out swinging this game. And if you watch Dortmund against Heidenheim, we're talking Heidenheim, a team that was just promoted from Bundesliga 2 seasons ago. Their defense, and this was at home, it was shocking. To put it best, if we're talking about how somebody in Europe would put it, shocking. In America, we say it was just shit. It wasn't good. They've been known to stumble away from home countless times. I like over 2.75 goals. I wouldn't be shocked to see Bruges score 2. I think they're really going to come at him here, especially seeing what Dortmund has shown so far. There's no reason to sit back. This is the very first game. I mean, what reason is there for Bruges to say, why not us?
Yeah. And that's kind of the other thing I led off the show with, but we haven't brought back the point. Like any of these quote unquote underdogs, any of these smaller teams, you've got absolutely nothing to lose, especially you're starting out at home. Some of them are going to pick up points inevitably. So I'm wondering if this is a spot.
No, I mean, also the odds, not that the odds mean everything, but the odds suggest here that Dortmund doesn't have like a superior advantage here, Yes, they just picked up Guirassy, but he's just being incorporated into the squad, this to me, this is the perfect chance for them to catch them off guard.
Yeah.
Like I said, plus 100 is just a trappy line. I want nothing to do with Dortmund money line here, but I love the over 2.75. That is an official play.
Yeah. Pablo, any thoughts?
Yeah. I agree with this being a tricky line. Club Bruges, they really they can make it really, really hard to lose. I think it was 2 seasons ago where they topped their group.
Yeah.
Wait, let me check this.
Right.
They topped their Champions League group.
They were in the second round, 100%.
Yeah. Wait, let me check because it's really important because this team has played in the Champions League for so long. Because they're one of the best teams in Belgium, they always get into the top 3, 4, 5 spots. So they always play either in the Europa League or in the Champions League or even the Conference League. So no, they were second in a group with Porto, Leverkusen, and Atletico Madrid, and they only lost once. They had 3 wins, 2 draws, and 1 loss. Of course, that was 2 seasons ago. But still, they have a great squad. They have experience as a club. So I don't think this is an easy match for Dortmund, and that's why the odds are set the way that they are. I definitely see Club Bruges avoiding the loss in the form of a draw or maybe even a win. So I wouldn't put anyone off of picking, Club Bruges double chance or plus half a goal. It's the same bet. However, I think there's a lot of value to be taking advantage of in a goal scorer prop. And it's none other than Karim Adeyemi. Karim Adeyemi scored 2 goals and an assist in the match against Heidenheim on Friday. In the international break with Germany's under 21, he scored 3 and 2 goals respectively in the 2 matches. So that makes it 7 goals in his last 3 matches, where he played the full 90 minutes in just one of those. In the other one, he played 64 minutes, scored 3 goals against lowly Estonia. And in the match against Heidenheim, he played 79 minutes. He had time for 2 goals and 1 assist, all within the first 40 minutes. So naturally, I went and looked how much is Adeyemi to score any time. So DraftKings, they have him plus 210 to score any time, which is playable. I think that's a good price. But FanDuel, they have him at plus 310.
Whoa.
So we're going to take Karim Adeyemi plus 310 at FanDuel. It's playable at plus 210, which is at DraftKings. I'm pretty sure that if you look elsewhere, you might find something in between. Of course, if you find something higher than plus 310, bet it. So, official play, Karim Adeyemi. Even if it loses, I know I'm making the correct decision here with a player that scored 7 goals in his last 3 matches. He's coming into the, into the competition, looking to, excuse me, the nuts that I ate stuck in my throat. Karim Adeyemi to score any time at plus 310 is a gift. I'm going to take it. Cheers.
I want to add something really quick here, just to put a little perspective on this game for those of you that care about line movement. This game did not open up at Dortmund plus 106. This game, looking now, Pinnacle opened Dortmund minus 125 in the money line. That's moved as much as plus 110 in some places. It's a 35-cent line movement. Both teams to score has moved up from minus 151 to minus 162. Odds are suggesting 1-1 with both teams trying to pick up the last goal, take all 3 points. I didn't come up with like a backup second leg to a parlay, but Bruges plus 1.5 I'm seeing in some places minus 335. That's the same price as, like a lot of times I'll find a minus 330 with a minus 240 to parlay, get like minus 110, minus 108. But I would, if you can find something, this is just a shout, Bruges plus 1.5. I see this game tied late into the game, whether it's 1-1 the 65th minute or 2-2 80th minute. I don't see Dortmund. I don't even know if I see Dortmund winning this game, let alone winning this by 2-goal margin.
Fair enough. Celtic, Bratislava, anything for you guys? I got nothing in this game.
Both teams to score minus 108. I like that play very much. Let me see why. Yeah,
Why is
I like
Celtic such a big
Celtic.
favorite? That's what I want to know.
That's
Granted,
what
they're-
that's the bus that I'm on.
Because they started off the season with 6 consecutive wins. They've only conceded once in those 6 matches, which there's a double read here. First of all, you see a team that's kept 5 clean sheets in their first 6 matches of the season. You might initially think, including a 3-0 win against Rangers, which must be noted. However, they're not Manchester City or the Real Sociedad or the Sevilla of the olden days or the Athletic Madrid, where they can't concede against anyone. Slovan Bratislava, they have the quality, they have the experience. I think they give Celtic a tough time here. I wouldn't rush to bet any, on Celtic. They're huge favorites here. I think Slovan Bratislava keep it tight. So I was between Slovan Bratislava on the spread, which is plus 1.5 goal. And it's really playable at minus 115. But then I said, I'm going to take both teams to score because, Celtic might win 3-1. That's one of the possible scores. Although, Slovan Bratislava, they rarely get destroyed on the road. Although, last season, they did lose 4-1 to Sturm Graz, but they did score. So that was one of the reasons why I took both teams to score instead of the spread. So I think Slovan Bratislava, they have a lot of quality, a lot of experience. They can find at least a goal here. I don't expect them to find 2 or 3 goals, just the one. So give me both teams to score minus 108. I'm going against the line movement because I think people are betting the other thing. Again, based on line movement, but I think both teams to score is at minus 108. I think Celtic, considering just 1 goal in the first 6 matches. I mean, come on, both teams to score. Let's go.
I agree. All right, we are finally on to Thursday's game. Sorry, guys, we're going a little bit long here, so let's get back into it. Feyenoord at home plus 340 to Leverkusen minus 130. We have already seen Leverkusen drop points, I believe, in 2 games this year. How do you guys view Feyenoord at home in this one? You think Leverkusen get back on track?
Both teams scoring over 2.5 goals, minus
There we go.
128.
Classic
Easy.
Champions League bet. I love it.
Easy. Just don't, we saw it last season with Karabag. Leverkusen are not unbeatable. We also saw them in the final as well. I think they're going to let at least 1 goal here. Feyenoord, they have the quality. They also have the experience of playing in Europe, although not against such strong opponents as Leverkusen. But I think they can find 1 goal. Leverkusen haven't been exactly defensive juggernauts to start the season. They conceded in all but 1, which was a cup match against Jena, which is a team from the lower division. So take that result with a grain of salt. I think this is a classic situation of both teams to score and over 2.5 goals. Don't complicate it. Don't care who wins. Minus 128. I think that's the play here.
Agree?
I think this is one of those games. Leverkusen may not be plus 100 on the money line, but I think that we could be 45 minutes into this game and we could be wondering, how is Leverkusen not plus 100 on the money line? I'm not saying they don't win. I just think the line's a little bit disrespectful to Feyenoord. They are the cream of the crop in the Eredivisie, right up there with PSV. Also, to take into consideration, this is going to be Feyenoord's first home game in a month. I think they're going to come in ready to. Crowd's going to be rocking in this game. Leverkusen conceded multiple goals to Gladbach. They conceded to Hoffenheim. They conceded 2 to Stuttgart in the Super Cup. They conceded 3 to Leipzig. I don't really see how this isn't both teams score over 2.5 here. I'm on this as well. I like it a lot. I could see 2-2. Feyenoord actually having a very, very winnable next 3 games. It could be the same approach. Why not try to take some from this game when they're not expected to? I would not be laying the money line with Leverkusen, that's for sure.
Yep, agree. Another tough matchup for a good team traveling. Benfica away to Red Star Belgrade, plus 300 at home for Red Star. Benfica minus 115. This is one. I mean, two things with Red Star. I'm pretty much always on a Red Star over. Do you guys think they can get any points out of this game at home?
Yeah, I do believe. Red Star, I know Kenny has to say some stuff about the Serbian league because he loves watching it. Or at least, the top 2 or 3 teams. Red Star, they have the quality up front. They have the experience. Their defense is, they're keeping a clean sheet here and there, but Benfica also have some quality up front. Benfica, they might go there and win 2-0. They have the quality to do that. And sometimes they get lucky in the defense. They're like, I like to compare them to the Turkish national team, as weird as it sounds, in the sense that they have a defense that has some good qualities. They can keep a clean sheet here and there if everybody's, very locked into their game, very focused, very, not making too many mistakes. But the sad reality is that they, in the 75% of the matches, or roughly 3 out of 4, their defense is in shambles. I remember last season they were 3-0 up against Inter Milan in a match where they needed to win in order to progress in the Champions League, and they were 3-0 up, and it was really early in the game, I believe, and they conceded 3 goals in a match where Inter Milan, I think they didn't even need or a draw or a win. I think they topped their group already. So this Benfica has a lot of, let's say, psychological issues at the back, and the Serbians are very, very dangerous to take advantage of those psychological issues at the back. Now, could Red Star win 2-1 and destroy this bet? Yeah. Could Benfica win or 2-0? Either side to win 2-0? Yes, I can see that happening. But logically speaking, this match starts at 1-1. Both teams to score, and because both teams to score alone is barely playable. I think it's minus 160 or something.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stick with the over. Both teams to score and over 2.5 goals, which is plus 112 at Pinnacle. Alternatively, you could maybe take the over 2.75 at minus 107. In the case, Red Star win 3-0 or Benfica win 3-0, but I don't think that's happening. Again, I think this match starts at 1-1. We're looking for 1-1 goal. So give me both teams to score and over 2.5 goals at plus 112. I'm surprised actually to see plus money on this one.
Yeah, first time we've seen plus money on Red Star in forever. So give me it, like I said, without even knowing the odds. I'm in for 3 goals on Red Star just about every single game, especially at home. And I'll kind of back you up. Red Star double chance minus 110 at home. I mean, if there's a spot, that's not a bad one to be in. I'm not making an official play, but definitely monitoring it. I think it's a good look. This is a game they'll look to get some points out of for sure.
So I think I could tell you why this is plus money. I don't know how many of you look into the next match as to when you look at your.
Are they playing a derby? Oh shit!
They're not just playing a derby. They're playing the biggest game.
Derby.
The derby. For those of you that don't follow the Serbia Superliga, when Partizan Belgrade play against Red Star Belgrade, it's considered one of the biggest rivalries in the world. It's actually a game I would love to get to someday when I actually have my passport. And at this point, I would just want to come back alive. It does get that intense over there.
Debatable.
So it's not a question of whether or not Red Star is going to win the league this year. They have 21 goals over the first 7 games. They're leading the league, and they have a game in play. They're going to win this league by 20 points. It's not about that. The bragging rights and the hostility, the rivalry between Red Star and Partizan is, to put it into perspective once again, this league is not followed by an awful lot of people out there in terms of the soccer world. It's not one of those. It's not going to make Paramount Plus. It's not going to make CBS Sports Network. But when these two teams play, it is considered one of the biggest rivalries in the world, as it's taking place 4 days after the Benfica game. If they had any other team they were playing against that wasn't Partizan, I would probably be on both teams to score and over. The game, it does scream over 2.5 all over it, but because of who they're playing in the next game, it's a look-ahead spot. It really is, and this is one of the only games where I can see Red Star really getting points. They've got Inter, they've got Monaco, they've got Barcelona. Stuttgart might be a spot. Then they're away to Milan. They're not going to be picking up many points in this competition. They have one of the lowest odds to win. They're not going to win this competition. They're not even going to advance. But my point is, the derby after this game, it can't be overlooked.
You know what? I will echo what you say, and I really, in this situation, because not many people out there know the importance of such big derbies. Serbians are really serious about their bragging rights, about their derbies, and I wouldn't be surprised really if Red Star used their B squad in the Champions League just to be able to take something from the match, because they're playing away at Partizan. And even though, Partizan, they've made a bad start, let's say, in the
They're a shell of what they used to be. That's my team, and they are a shell of what they used to be.
But still, even though
Scarf right above me. Scarf right above me.
They haven't lost at home to Red Star since 2016. That's like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 matches.
Wow.
So first of all, we're probably gonna have a show on Friday, and I'm fading Red Star. I'm gonna take Partizan with whatever spread they're gonna give me, because they're gonna give me a silly spread. I'm gonna take Partizan, because these big derbies, no matter the form, no matter if somebody's dead, no matter if the whole team, I don't know, got the dysentery or something, they're always very serious about not losing. Because if you lose, you can't look your brother in the eye, you can't look your fans in the eye, you can't walk in the streets. Yeah. It's a shameful. If you lose, it's really important for them. So I'm still going to take the Bothans scoring over 2.5 goals. I'm still going to take it. But I'm not so confident in it anymore, because I made the mistake of not looking who they're playing against in the next match. But yeah, we're going to speak about more in the Friday show.
I guess one more thing to put this into perspective. I'm just going to use a referee for example, and I also want to say there's no exaggeration in this. If you're the referee that gives a red card or a penalty kick, like let me just make sure. Yes, they're head to head April 20th. Red Star got a penalty kick in the 99th minute. I would not be surprised if the referee that gave that penalty kick to Red Star was put into witness protection, either dead or put into witness protection within 2 hours after the game. I know it sounds crazy. I know, but that is the level of where this rivalry is. Yeah. The importance of it.
All right. Official play is turned to proceed with caution in this game.
Yeah.
Next one is actually a great one. Monaco at home to Barcelona. Barcelona absolutely been flying so far this year, scoring a ton of goals, -130. Monaco haven't been so bad themselves. They're unbeaten in 4 games, 3 wins and a draw. They've only given up 1 goal. They've scored 7, +310 at home. Do you guys agree with this spread, or do you think this is a little bit of a disrespect to Monaco? Is this just the Barcelona tax, or are these odds justified?
I don't know, Kenny, you want to go first? Because for me, it's a pass. I might have a couple of things to say, but no official play.
I took the words right out of my mouth, Pavlos. I want nothing to do with this game.
I mean, it seems just like an over 3 is at -110. I think
Monaco are shit when you. Oh, man. For the last 3-4 years, Monaco are very inconsistent. Maybe 3 years ago, they were a good overs team. For whatever reason, whenever you bet the over, they play for an under. Whenever you play, they're like in my blacklist.
All the time. Yep.
Yeah, they're like in my black book, along with some other teams. In Barcelona, for what it's worth, they lost 2 starters, actually, with injuries. The recent one is Dani Olmo, who's going to miss for like 4 or 5 weeks from what I've read. Then they had another guy who was starting Bernal in the midfield. He's going to lose the season with a torn ACL or something like that in his knee.
Okay.
Barcelona don't have that deep of a roster. They were already using like I think it was 3 17-year-olds in the lineups. Some players came back from injuries. They lost other ones. I'm not really sure about goals here. In fact, I could. What's the line on the goals? Oh, maybe I would take the under 3. Gun to my head, but from me, it's a pass. It's a very difficult match to predict. Maybe Monaco do something here in the form of a draw, or if you take them at plus 0.75, which is a split line between +1 and plus half a goal, you can at least, get half your money back. But Barcelona, they looked really good so far in the season. It's really hard for me to go against them.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is one of the matches where I looked at it. I said, this is danger, danger, big question, not question marks, like exclamation marks popping out. Pass.
More
For
than
me.
fair.
My problem with this game is you look at their odds. I'm seeing some places -134, -135, high as -140. Those odds are just above the trap price that I've mentioned before.
Mhm.
Odds makers are expecting this game to be within one goal going into the 75th, 80th minute. The problem I have with goals here is Monaco see that Barcelona just put up 11 goals in the last two games. That's right, 11
Yeah.
goals in the last two games. They're the home team. They're, so to speak, going to have a say in dictating the pace of this game. What about this says, let's get into a shootout with Barcelona? I don't think that's how they're going to set up. I think they'd probably be happy with a point from this. One of the few games where a team would be happy from a point, but you're talking about Barcelona that scored 11 goals the last two games. Monaco would be happy with a point here. That kind of approach does not play well for needing 4 goals to cash a ticket.
Yeah, no, that's more than fair. I've just, in my mind, Monaco has to score a goal in this game. So I think there's 3 in it. It's not really that playable. I mean, there's 18 other games to look at. We don't have to.
Yeah,
we don't have to have
it could
that.
easily be a 3-2 win for either side, maybe Barcelona or Barcelona wins 2-1. But there are far better games for me to sweat on than this one.
100%.
Yeah.
Now that's kind of the way I'm leaning. All right, last 3 games. Atalanta at home to Arsenal. Atalanta, Europa League winners last year. Arsenal, we all know Arsenal. Atalanta plus 295. Just opened their new stadium this weekend. Arsenal -115. I don't know. I'm torn between thinking these odds are correct because Atalanta's inconsistent, but I'm also torn in saying I think they're getting a little bit disrespected because they seem to be giant killers, and these are the games that they get up for. So I don't know. Arsenal just coming off of a tough, hard-fought win. Arsenal, I got to give them credit. They've had a pretty difficult schedule to open the year, and they've answered the call so far. So -115. The thing I always worry about with Arsenal is, big games, where are the goals coming from? I don't know what to make of this game is really what I'm trying to say.
Kenny?
I'll let you go first, Pablos. I don't even. I
As you can see with the group, the quote unquote marquee matchups, right? Those are the weirdest ones.
Yeah, this looks like an under to me, but the Asian total is set at 2.75, so you can take the under 2.75 at -117. Apart from the obvious thing, where the match starts at the under and the longer it goes without any goals, the better your chances are of winning. Atalanta, they whenever they play against teams that are much better than them, they try to keep it tight. Just don't look at the 3-0 against Leverkusen in the Europa League final, because Leverkusen were opened up since for the majority of the match. They were 2-0 down, Leverkusen at the 26th minute, so they opened up for the, to try to pull even. Then they conceded another goal. But in the other matches, for example, against Liverpool, they lost 1-0. Against Sporting, they won 2-1, but it was, if you take the under 2.75, you still get half your stake back. Against Sporting, a 1-1 draw. And if you look at Arsenal on the road, against Bayern Munich, they had a 1-0 loss. Against Porto, 1-0 loss. PSV, 1-1 draw. Sevilla, they won 1-2, but Sevilla, they're not up there with the good teams. So we might see like a cat and mouse type of situation between these two. I don't want to make this an official play, but I'm leaning under here. And if the under 3 was playable, it's at -160 now, so not really, my cup of tea. But if for whatever reason people keep betting on the over, which they don't look like they are, I'm gonna get the under. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised by a low scoring match here. Although Atalanta in 4 matches so far, they were all over 2.5 goals, and 3 of them had over 3.5 goals. And but Arsenal, if you look, they're 4-0 to the under 2.5 goals. And whenever you have a team that's prone to the over against a team that's prone to the under, usually the under team prevails. So, gun to my head, I'd take the under 2.75 goals here. And worst case scenario, I see 3 goals here, and half of my stake is gonna come out. You know what? Fuck it. Let's take the under 2.75 goals. Let's take it. Odds are minus 128. No, sorry, minus 117. Under 2.75 goals. It's good for one.
I'm just going to put this out there and back up what Pablo said. This is one of those, the longer the game goes and 0-0, you're wondering where the goals come from. I don't have an official play in this game. I think the odds are correct. I think Arsenal win, but it's one of those, the odds are minus 110 for a reason. You're going to be sitting on a 1-goal advantage with Atalanta getting 3 corner kicks and the 96th minute of stoppage time and wondering, when is my bet going to lose, if it's going to lose. I think this game stays under 1.25 in the first half. The odds are not quite good enough for me to play it. It's minus 151. If it was in the minus 130 or lower range, I would probably be all over it because I do not see 2 goals in the first half. That's all I've really got to say about the game.
Yeah. Cool. Listen, unfortunately, 2 games left. I got to roll, boys. I don't know if you guys want to cover those last 2 games, but do want to give a shout out to the listeners, everybody in the chat. Thank you, guys. I'll let you guys close it out, and we'll be back with you Friday.
Listen, you know what? If we have some time, I'd like to say that I have no plays in the Atletico Madrid versus Leipzig match. If I don't know if Kenny you want to discuss it, but I do like to fade Brest versus Sturm Graz. Brest are minus 125 favorites. The draw is at plus 275, and Sturm Graz are plus 333 underdogs, with the Asian spread set at half a goal, and the Asian total is set at 2.5. Immediately, Brest, they had a really strong season last year in the League One. They got a Champions League ticket, but this is their first ever Champions League match. I know there's gonna be some excitement, but they looked not very good in their first 4 matches of the season in the League One, apart from a 4-0 win against Saint Etienne at home. I know there's going to be excitement. I know everybody's going to be waiting. The crowd is probably going to be very rowdy. But Sturm Graz, they're an Austrian team. Austrian teams, they usually play either in the Europa League, the Conference League, or sometimes the Champions League. And Sturm Graz, they have actually made a really strong start in the season. Yes, they started off with actually it was a draw in the cup. Then they moved on in the extra time. Then they lost their first league match against Rapid Vienna. But then, since then, they're on a 6-match winning streak, actually 5-match winning streak, scoring 2+ goals in all 5 matches. And, this is a team that's not going to be scared by a Brest team that's, they don't have any pedigree in this competition. And Sturm Graz, they know exactly how to take points from these matches. This is very much like the Bologna match, where Bologna versus Shakhtar, you got a team that's playing at home for the first time ever in the Champions League. Yes, I understand the excitement. I understand there's going to be a sold out. I understand all of these things. But we also have to understand that they're not playing alone in the pitch. They're playing with another team that's been there for many years. They have the experience. They have quality players in the squad. And I think just the odds are really wrong in this situation. So that gives me the opportunity to fade Brest. And I'm going to take Sturm Graz plus half a goal or double chance, if you think that's, these are better odds, at plus 103.
I'm with you, Pavlos. So Sturm Graz is actually my favorite team, Salzburg's biggest competition over in the Austrian Bundesliga. They're legit. You know, thing I could say about them, Salzburg's payroll, or just like the team worth, is north of 200 million. Sturm Graz isn't even at 75. Talking about a team that is triple the value of their biggest rival. They won the Austrian Bundesliga last year. They are legit. They lost just 3 games the whole campaign. I've said it before in the show jokingly, but France Ligue 1, yes, it's got PSG in it, but I don't really consider it that strong of a league. The competition they play in there is just not that good. I remember earlier I was talking about a situation to where looking at Club Bruges plus 1.5. I think the parlay Club Bruges plus 1.5 with Sturm Graz plus 1.5. Let me see what that comes out to, but that might be something that I'm going to be adding in this game. Is there anything else you want to add to this, Pavlos?
No, I'm good. The other match, I don't want to touch it. Atletico Madrid versus Leipzig. Leipzig have been really weird. I mean, you can't go to Leverkusen and win 2-3, and then have a goalless draw against Union Berlin at home in a match where it was, just a poor quality of, all over. Just 6 shots on goal by the two teams combined. Combined expected goals of 2.5, but 0 goals. Maybe they were anxious, after an international break. Leipzig had a lot of players in the international break. If anything, I maybe would take Atletico Madrid money line in the sense that, first home match of the Champions League. Simeone is going to be really, have his lads really fired up. Leipzig on the road. There are 2 matches so far in the season who have been both teams to score and over 4.5 goals actually. I'm not really sure where to go with this one. Totals look weird, but gun to my head, I'd take Atletico Madrid money line. Not an official play, just a lean.
Yeah, that game, it's a battle of 2 teams that consistently burn tickets for me, yet I still continue to bet on them. The last thing I want to do is bet on them when they're against each other. Atletico Madrid has burned me countless times. I almost had Leipzig in a parlay with it, and I just had a funny feeling. It's Union Berlin. Something smelled like a draw. They're minus 220. I want nothing to do with this game.
Makes sense.
And I just looked the parlay of Sturm plus 1.5. So I only have the alternate lines up on one book right now, and looks like they're the worst odds I could possibly get, because I'm seeing on Pinnacle Sturm is minus 274, and what I'm looking at right now is minus 360. So we're not even gonna go into like a 2-leg parlay of that, in Bruges isn't even. Bruges plus 1.5 is minus 394. I know that's not the best price you can get, so we're not even gonna rock with the parlay.
All right. So I guess that's it. That's all the plays. We had like what? I think it was at least 10 plays. I know myself, I had like 7 or 8 plays alone.
I'm right up there with 5.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a long season. I think we have some nice looks. At least the logic is there, in the sense that, we looked who they're playing before, who they're playing after. Some statistical data. I think we're good. For the first week of the Champions League. I think I really feel confident about this place. I think we avoided some really, big traps. Just a final thought before we sign this off. With this being a new look Champions League, I wouldn't be surprised if the old traditional forces like Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, I can't say PSG. I can't put PSG in there. Atletico Madrid, they all won. So maybe you could just throw some 3 or 4 of them in a parlay. Same goes for goal scorer props. For example, Haaland, Lewandowski, maybe a bit of Mbappe. He already kicked out his season. I think he scored like 3 goals in the last 2 matches. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if the traditional forces, whether it is a team that's good in Europe or players who play good in Europe, all signed in this match day one of the new Champions League. So here it is. This have been our predictions. Good luck to everybody, and see you guys on Friday with our show for the weekend picks, where we'll definitely discuss the Partizan versus Red Star in Serbia. So good luck and see you on Friday.